Hello everyone, welcome to BikeWale. I am Prateek and I have been waiting to do this video since a very long time. There are some reasons, but the main one is, I love long distance touring. I do Mumbai-Mangalore runs multiple times a year because this particular route offers some really beautiful highway stretches. You ride through some iconic villages and also through some beautiful national parks. But my personal favorite is you ride alongside the mighty Arabian Sea. And I'm sure some of you guys might know this particular, the name of this place, and if you do, let us know in the comments section so that everyone can know about it. Now, coming to this video and why I have been waiting to do this, because of this motorcycle, the Suzuki V-Strom SX 250. Now, it's a adventure, let's say not adventure, it's just a touring motorcycle, which Suzuki launched about a year ago in India at about 2.51 lakh rupees on the road. And the bike that you see here is sadly not mine, but I somehow feel I have owned it because I think it's due to the fact that I have ridden this bike for almost 10,000 kilometers in the last just about 6 months. And that's when I realized I think it's the right time to give you a long-term perspective, the long-term review, or the long-term experience of this particular touring motorcycle. So let's get started. But before we do, please don't forget to like and share this video and also subscribe to BikeWale. Now, before I go and tell you the things which I like about the bike and things I didn't, let me tell you the things which I've done on the motorcycle. Firstly, I have ridden this motorcycle to my office every day, and the distance is about 130 kilometers round trip. This has been my motorcycle of choice to do daily chores. I also go to the gym on this bike. And I've done 3 long trips, one to Goa, one to Mangalore, and one I recently concluded just a few days ago to Bangalore. But I did a nice 2,700 kilometers round trip. I've also gone off-roading with it, which by the way is not a good idea. And I'll tell you about it in the later part of the video. In short, we have ridden this motorcycle in every possible way, which allowed us to get a lot of good information about the product, which we will tell you about in this next few minutes. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about this bike is the overall comfort, because that has been the talking point amongst my friends, my colleagues, and also amongst my Himalayan friends. So let's get started. The first thing that you'll notice on this motorcycle is its tall stance, and as a result the overall seat height is on the higher side at 835 mm. It is not the highest in the segment. That crown has been taken by the KTM 390 Adventure, but the V-Strom SX is 35 mm higher, the market leader, which is a Royal Enfield Himalayan. Now, this overall figure might look a little worrisome for shorter riders, but to be honest, they don't have to really worry about getting on and off the motorcycle. There might be a little problem while handling the motorcycle in city traffic conditions. You have to keep juggling a lot because of the seat height, and that may increase the overall fatigue, which is honestly not a great idea if you're using the bike on an everyday basis. For me, it was not a problem. In fact, I enjoyed every bit of this motorcycle when it comes to the comfort, be it the seating triangle, be it the overall seat cushioning and overall seating ergonomics. In fact, the longest time I've spent on this motorcycle in a day is about 13 hours. I started my day at 4 a.m. and ended at about 5 p.m. And not for a single time I had any issue with my lower back or my buttocks. Nothing of these parts complained. And to be honest, I don't really remember the last time I had this brilliant experience on a motorcycle. The overall seating triangle is also on the comfortable side. The handlebar is easy to reach, the foot pegs are center set, and there's more than enough space on the seat to move around. There are no complaints here except one, which we will discuss when we are talking about the bike's off-road capabilities. Now, the main highlight of this motorcycle is that engine. It's a 250cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled, no wait, it's not liquid-cooled, it is air-cooled. It has no fins, but what it has is SOCS, Suzuki's oil cooling system, which by the way works really good. It's extremely efficient. I mean, when I start this motorcycle at about 5 a.m, I know how it sounds, I know how it feels, I know what kind of performance it churns out. And if I'm riding this motorcycle for about, still after like 13-14 hours, that engine behaves exactly the same, and it's purely because of that oil cooling system. But let's talk power figures. This motor makes about 26 bhp of peak power at 9300 rpm and 22 newton meters of peak torque at 7300 rpm. And the gearbox, well, it's 6-speed, just like the Gixxer 250. There are a couple of things I really loved about this engine. It is smooth, refined, and churns out great performance. Also, the tractability of this motor is quite good, which made my city commutes easy and comfortable. The vibes are controlled, and the only time will start bothering you is when the RPM needle is about to touch 7000 RPM. And to be honest, you will reach such high RPMs rarely because this motorcycle is all about that mid-range torque, which is, by the way, super smooth. The torque delivery is linear, but as it reaches 5000 RPM, the bike is already doing some really good high speed. This is also where the overtaking becomes easy and effortless, be it in the city or on the highway. The other best aspect of this engine is overall NVH and cooling efficiency. There have been days when I started my ride at 4 AM and ended at 6 PM, and that engine felt exactly the same throughout. There's no harshness, the engine doesn't feel stressed, and there's never been any breakdowns. Now that we have given enough credit to the engine, it is time to share it with something else, the chassis. The V-Strom and the Gixxer have the same frame, but the V-Strom gets a different subframe and also a different swing arm. And as a result of these changes, the V-Strom behaves excellent in almost every situation, be it filtering through the traffic or having some fun on the twisties. The V-Strom SX churns out awe-inspiring riding experience. It almost feels like you just have to think where you want to go and the bike does it for you. The overall suspension setup on this bike is on the stiffer side, but it isn't back-breaking. In fact, even if you add a small luggage at the back, the ride quality gets better. For most of my rides, I either had a small backpack or the Ergonomics tailbag. So I thoroughly enjoyed my ride with the V-Strom throughout the duration. Now the Suzuki V-Strom SX is meant to hold a lot of luggage because it's a touring motorcycle, and that's why you see these two luggages. This one is the Ergonomics Navigator 50 liters tailbag, and that one is the Ergonomics Navigator 15 liters tank bag. Now for tailbag, Suzuki has given this large tail rack, which by the way is of excellent quality, and it also has a lot of mounting options. I chose the one which is at the topmost because I find it easier, and it's also quick to mount my luggage using that top option. On the other side, you have these two large luggage hooks. I use it to again mount my straps, but if you are one of those who love to use bungee cords, well, you just tie your luggage and just mount it. It's very easy. On the tank for the tank bag front, you have these large, I've been using the Navigator. It has been my luggage of choice for almost last 6-7 months. On the V-Strom, what I've done is I've just kept the underneath support where you mount the luggage permanently because it's just easy to mount the luggage. So for that, the topmost section of the tank is wide enough to accommodate that particular strap. And to be honest, in overall, I'm quite happy with the luggage mounting abilities of the Suzuki V-Strom SX. One of the reasons I fell in love with the V-Strom was its fuel efficiency. And oh, what excellent numbers it gave during the city runs as well as the highway run. For a touring motorcycle, the V-Strom has a small 12 liters fuel tank capacity, and honestly, I didn't really expect this motorcycle to churn out good fuel efficiency, but I was proven wrong. During my city commutes, where I'm sitting mostly in the mid-range and not really have to open the throttle fully, the bike returned anything between 43 to 45 km per liter, and that's close to 500 kilometers range in one tank full. During long distance runs, where I was doing 110-120 km per hour most of the time, the bike churned out 35 to 38 km per liter, which is really good for a motorcycle this size. Going on long tours means you spend a lot of money on fuel, stay and food, but with such excellent fuel efficiency, the V-Strom SX will definitely help you cut your overall trip budget. Now you must be wondering that this dude really loves this motorcycle, and you're not wrong, you're absolutely right. But there are still a lot of things which I don't really like about the V-Strom SX, and that first thing is that tiny little instrument cluster. I mean, you look at it and you will clearly say that it doesn't belong to a motorcycle at this class. Maximum it should be limited to a 150cc or maximum to a 200cc motorcycle. While it does show some ride information, it misses out on LCD or semi-color instrumentation. These aspects are usually seen on motorcycle at this price point. And then there is this empty space on the left side of the instrument cluster when the Bluetooth features are not on. It really makes me feel that Suzuki didn't make any attempt to give out a perfect instrument cluster. The front brake on the bike needs some work. There's barely any feel and feedback. I had to engage the lever quite a bit to slow down the motorcycle. Plus, during the service, the front brake pads had almost gone in just 6,000 kilometers. Now, V-Strom shares a lot of cycle parts with the Gixxer 250, including the brake pads. But it looks like the grade of the V-Strom pads weren't upgraded, and because it's a touring bike, the bike's average speed is much higher than the Gixxer 250. So the brake has to work harder to slow down the bike. The V-Strom SX isn't an off-road friendly motorcycle. It doesn't get a 21-inch front wheel, the standing up ergonomics are quite poor, and due to that, the road to off-road body transition doesn't feel natural. But more importantly, some of the cycle parts developed for the bike hasn't been developed keeping hard off-road use in mind. During one of my off-road excursions, the left foot peg just broke off when I landed from a decent jump, and I almost crashed out. That day, I realized why the folks at Suzuki India refuses to relate this motorcycle to any hardcore off-road use. To be honest, this bike could have become a grid off-road bike as this engine has lots of torque and the tire offer great dirt grip. Okay, so it's time for the verdict. I'm a little sad that the V-Strom SX is going back tomorrow, back to Suzuki. I've been in this industry for the last 11 years and I've had multiple long-termers throughout that duration. But this is the first time I'm really sad and a little emotional about the bike going back. I mean, I knew it's supposed to go back, but I never thought I will feel this way because I've spent a lot of time on the bike and have some great memories. I've created some great experiences with the motorcycle. You know, I love this motorcycle so much that I have literally stopped riding my Hero Xpulse 200, which by the way has been my official commuter to office, has been. Now that you have come to watch the long-term review of the bike, there are two reasons. Either you are in the market to buy this bike or you have already bought it, but you just want to see how the bike performs. But this is for someone who wants to buy the bike, you're not really sure. I will tell you this. Go and buy the Suzuki V-Strom SX 250 because it's an excellent motorcycle. This motorcycle will keep you happy for many, many years. It's a motorcycle that will help you create a lot more memories with your friends, with your family. I say this because I've had this experience with the bike. I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the last 6 months with the motorcycle. Now this Suzuki checks a lot of right boxes. It's great at commuting. It's really good when it comes to long distance touring. The comfort level, again, it's pretty good even for rider and the pillion. And like we have mentioned before, it can carry a lot of luggage. I've never been so happy with the motorcycle. I mean, I really loved the way it rides with the luggage, which is fully loaded luggage. And then there is this engine, the 250cc single cylinder engine, which offers good performance. I mean, the numbers are decent, but the way this engine has been tuned, that mid-range is so strong. It offers great overtaking abilities. You don't really have to downshift so much. Just switch the throttle and you are overtaking vehicles on the highway in no time. Again, the overall refinement, the smoothness, the throttle response is just really good on this motorcycle. But the best part of this engine is its fuel efficiency. It churns out really good fuel efficiency, be it in the city or on the highway. In fact, I love budget trips, and to be honest, this is the first trip, and whatever trips I've done, I didn't really have to be worried about the overall, fuel expense on the V-Strom. I think this motorcycle, if you buy it, it'll help you tour really well with a budget in control. And then, I mean, it does have its limitations, like we talked about the instrument cluster, we talked about the front brake feel, but to be honest, these are not really a deal breaker for me. The pros of this motorcycle really outweighs the cons. To be honest, I'm really planning, or I'm considering this motorcycle for my personal use. The prices have gone up. I should have bought it last December when there were huge discounts at Suzuki dealership, but I couldn't. But after spending almost 3,000 kilometers in last, I think, 7 days, I really love this motorcycle. I mean, I'm going to miss it, but let's see, maybe not for long. I hope this video really helped you consider and, whether you really want to buy the motorcycle. I think some of you might go and buy, some of you might go and check the other options. But before you buy, just make sure that, take a nice long test ride of the bike to understand how it really behaves and whether it will suit your overall personality and your riding style. So that's all we have for you right now. Please let us know if we can provide you more information on the bike or into the bike. But for now, that's all we have. Please keep watching our videos, and don't forget to subscribe to BikeWale. Xpulse 200 on sale. खरीदेगा क्या? 1 lakh? 90,000. 80,000 फाइनल. 50? हाँ, डाउन पेमेंट मिल जाएगा, चलेगा.